if everybody can hear me, this will work. Actually, I work specifically on multi-layered converted religious sites. What I mean by that is if a religious site, for instance, like the Hagia Sophia, was built as a church and then transformed as a mosque, transformed into a mosque, and then now functions as a museum, how do we deal with this multi-layered nature of heritage? And I'm specifically working with religious heritage. In many cases, when we are dealing with emotionally charged sites, one of our most important challenges is to be able to think about the site in terms of its multiple constituencies. And both as heritage specialists and as well as in terms of legal structure, we have been failing because there hasn't been enough attention to understand what sort of challenges such a situation brings to us and how we can overcome this. And especially in a mobile world such as the one that we are living in the 21st century, but it had always been like that, we are coming into terms with religious sites that had been separated from their original builders. By that, what I mean is, for instance, in the Turkish case, we have two specific time horizons for the de-Christianization of this country. One is 1915 and the other one 1924. A lot of Christian sites that are under the jurisdiction of the Turkish state are actually were left without their primary constituencies at those moments in history. And now that these populations are dispersed all over the world, but they still have a very strong emotional connection to their sacred spaces, how do we deal with their needs and their demands on the management of these sites? So what I'd like to think about is that when we're thinking about the management of religious heritage, we of course have the physical building, which requires its own very special and specialized attention from architects, people who know about restoration and things like that. But also there is the emotional dimension that goes beyond it. And they have to be integrated in one shape, form, and another. Because especially when you're dealing with multi-layered sites, there is always a level of decision-making in the processes of maintenance of these sites. For instance, if you're thinking about a site that was originally built as a Byzantine basilica, such as the Hagia Sophia, and was turned into a mosque later on, a very emotional transition, and then now works as a museum. In each of these steps, there are remnants in the building that remind us of the very long and sometimes painful, almost traumatic history of that building. When we're thinking about the management of this site, how do we manage this traumatic history and the current demands on the site? How do we make sure that the site brings peace to all of us as opposed to further conflict? And one of the things, and I believe just about any one of our speakers would agree with me, is the fact that in such religious, emotionally charged religious sites, they are possible places of great contestations. Just about in any case, they become kind of like this symbol of domination of one group over another. And we can cite worldwide examples. And within these dynamics, both the site can be damaged, but also humans who have attachment to those sites, religious groups and non-religious groups, can be equally damaged in social context. So